Hello and welcome to Brilliance Today, where individuals let their brilliance shine through their stories, expertise and philosophy, because they're on a mission to make a difference and leave a legacy. Introducing Brenda Dempsey, publisher, speaker and TV presenter. Get ready to be inspired.
Hello and welcome to Brilliance Today, the podcast series where I get to interview amazing women, this time in the Voices of Women series. And you know what they say, behind every great woman, there's another great woman. And I have got an absolute amazing woman today. I love her so much. She is just a woman of action. She gets things done, focused and determined. Who am I talking about? It's the wonderful Bailey Merlin. Hi, Bailey.
Hi, Brenda. So happy to be with you.
Oh, thanks very much. So we're just going to be nice and easy, relax. And of course, the first thing I want you to do is to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where you come from. Oh, and one more thing. What drives you?
What drives me? So I'm from Boston. We'll start there. And every time I see you, I feel like I'm doing something else, something more. So we'll start with, I'm a writer. I'm the author of A Lot of People Live in This House, which is a story about intentional living during the global pandemic. I am also a bisexual activist, and I run a writing group called the Bi Plus Book Gang that is geared towards bi plus writers around the world. And I'm also most recently the co-host of a podcast called Bisexual Killjoy, which talks about bisexuality in all its many flavors, and it's been quite the ride. It has had an amazing response so far. We just got started.
That is fantastic. And you know what? It doesn't surprise me because, you know, in the journey that we've been on together, every time I see you, there's a new string to that amazing bowl, and it's just growing. But do you know what I love more than anything? When you've just talked about what you do there, it's really focused, and it all ties in nicely together. And I think what you're doing is really something very honourable and absolutely out there, and being a voice of women and being unafraid, unstoppable to speak your truth and do something for groups that are maybe otherwise, because I know I've read a few things that you've been writing that you feel they didn't have a voice. Let's talk about that a wee bit more, because I want to give that spotlight to you about why you're so passionate about this, and what you've achieved and what it means for the bisexual community.
Yeah, absolutely. So in America specifically, bisexuals represent over half of the LGBTQ plus population, which is a lot of people. And yet we receive the fewest research dollars. We receive the fewest, we're not on media very often in a positive way. It's a race. And so you asked me what drives me, and it's community. Like, I graduated from Harvard having studied bisexual populations. And then here I was at graduation being like, where's my community? I don't have one. And so I started all of these initiatives because I was like, I know there are other people like me, and there have been. Our group has grown so much since September that I keep more and more emails every day, like, oh, your story resonates with me. Oh, I've been looking for this kind of group. And it's because bi people we don't necessarily feel at home in straight heterosexual spaces or queer spaces. And I'm like, there are too many of us for this to be a problem. Like, we can just get together and do it ourselves. And you know, now I have accountability groups 3 times a week for all of these great writers from around the world. And I do a recording every other week with my co-host for the podcast. And we're like putting together an anthology, and we're going to have a conference. And it's just, there's all of this need and excitement around bi plus writers that there was a niche, there was a need for it. And I feel like I'm helping fill that need.
Wow. You know, and there's nothing more inspiring than a person who builds something because they can't find that community for themselves. You know, just like in your book, A Lot of People Live in This House, the way that story has evolved, and again, kind of based on your own situation. I think there's a big lesson there, Bailey, that your success always stems from you,
Yeah.
you know, which, do you know what that's based on? That's authenticity. And that's what Voices of Women is. A voice of a woman is, voice for me means whether it's a woman or a man. Voices for me means truth. Speaking your truth with love, respect, and compassion. You know, it's not just saying what you think and not caring about how it's impacting the listener, or the reader, or however, what medium you're using. So for me, that's so important, that everybody on this planet has a platform and a voice that needs to be shared and heard and understood and also noted, you know. So I've got to commend you. I mean, that is vast growth in such a short space of time. And look, we're talking about anthologies here, you know, and here's you, you know, author turned anthologist, leader of leaders. That's what I say to that, you know.
Thanks, Brenda.
Hey, listen, you're an amazing leader, you know. Actually, so let's talk about that, because Voice of Women is actually about leadership. How do you see yourself as a leader?
You know, what I read about in the book is about how for a long time I just saw myself as a facilitator, someone who got people together, turned them towards the same goal. But when you stand back from that, that's literally what leadership is, right? It is to get people together on the same side to accomplish a goal together. But as a leader, I see myself as someone who, you know, it's the inverted pyramid. I'm here to serve and lift up other voices. I'm here to make sure the people in my community have what they need. I'm here to make sure that everyone feels like confident enough to engage in the community. I empower them to teach classes. I empower them to lead workshops, because it isn't all me. Like my leadership isn't about me at the end of the day. It's about the health and strength of the community. And I think that that's where women especially excel, is the collaborative nature of leadership. Like, I win if you win, as opposed to like you're working to help me be successful and famous and rich. And it's like, that's not going to sit right with me unless you're winning too.
Exactly. And we have a saying at Book Brilliance, and it's achieving success together, you know, and it stems back right even into my childhood. But obviously 25 years in teaching, you always wanted people to win. You always wanted to bring out their brilliance, help them be the best they can be at whatever it was that they chose. And everything you said there about leadership's about collaboration. It's about, you know, we're in this circle and you don't know who the leader is. You know, it's like even in my team, in my business, we have meetings and I sit back some days and I think, oh, I wonder who the leader is here today. And it's good because I encourage everybody in the team to lead where their skill and talents are. It's not just me. Like you, I'm the facilitator. Here's the platform. So let's all shine together and you know, it's not about one person taking it. It's all about team. And, you know, the old adage, there's no I in team for sure, you know, but it's and I find that so uplifting as well. And it inspires you to do more, doesn't it? You said yourself, it's about service. And you've got a community, you're serving that community. So what is your vision for your community?
This is my pie in the sky. I would love for the Bi Plus Book Gang specifically to have 1,000 members connected to one another from around the world, different levels of writing skill, different levels of publication, all of us teaching each other and championing one another's work. Because when you do that, you know, there's this lack of bisexual voices in publishing, but all of a sudden you have 1,000 of us rallying for one another and being like, read this book and read this book. That raises all boats, right? Like that is the tide that raises all boats. And for my podcast, I just want to help other bisexuals like learn that they're not alone in the world, understand how to lift up their voices and advocate for themselves. And in my writing, like I try to do a similar thing with community. It's like community can start with you. You can be the person, you can be the change maker, the catalyst. So it, like, listening to you talk about what leadership is in terms of facilitation and who's the leader today resonates so much with me.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and how long have we known each other? 2 or 3 years or something now.
Yeah.
And I absolutely have seen a transformation in many ways, many transformations. You know, within your own life. I mean, the work that you do at Harvard, you know, you're such an action woman, having written your book, you're doing your masters, you were getting married, you know, and
It
here
was
we
too
are
much.
again. I know, but wait a minute, Bailey. Here we are again. You're
Yeah.
podcasting, you're getting people from around the world, you're encouraging writing, which is fantastic, you know. Because what can I say? That it's about the story for me, it's the storytelling, but it's the coming together and it's the sharing the word. And a book's a great way to do it because it's one of the quickest ways to be international. Is your book, your book can sell all around the world. And for me, that's really so important for your growth, to make a difference, to position yourself. And that's something I don't know that people do enough, is using the success and everything. So now, definitely, I'm having another chat with you because your position has just, it's always been high, but it's like really, it's really going amongst the stars, as I say, you know, land, aim for the moon, go amongst the stars. And there's a galaxy of stars, and they're called scintillating stars, which I love, you know, anything to do with that. So let's turn a wee bit to, is there anything else you want to say on your community or anything else before we move on?
I think
Anything else
it's
you want to use this platform to reach out?
yeah, I just think that it's important for not just, you know, bisexual writers, but all writers to know is that if you haven't found your community yet and you have been trying and trying, at some point you're going to have to be the catalyst, and that is
Yeah,
okay. You will start small and it will grow faster than you think because there are so many people who are yearning for authentic connection and community that there's someone just like you around the corner.
love it, love it, love it. So let's turn our attention to the Voices of Women, which has been launched in July the 22nd. I keep getting mixed up between 20th and 22nd because we're having a
You're
garden party
excited.
to celebrate it, you know. But anyway, and it is about leadership. And what would you say are some of the most vital aspects and traits of being a leader?
I know we did the ABCs in our group chat recently, and I'm
Oh yeah,
thinking
we
back
did,
on
did
those
we?
pillars.
That was
But
good. I need to do more of them. You
there
can
were
start one. That doesn't need to be me.
I was thinking about this, you know, there's the authenticity is in there, which you mentioned earlier, because people can smell authenticity. Like, and if you aren't completely in it, and if you just want to squeeze something out of people, you're not a leader, one. And number two, people aren't going to resonate with it really. And then there's also this level of service. Service for me is really important to be a leader because, again, if you think that you are in a leadership role in order to get something out of other people, you do not need to be in a leadership role. You are there to, like, you're captaining the ship basically. You're the one who's looking at the charts and, you know, putting together all the information and saying, okay, this is where I think we need to go. And then there's also this layer of listening. Something that I do a lot in my community is I listen to the group and I ask them questions like, how are things going? Every couple of weeks, I do a check-in. Do you have what you need? What would you like to see more of? Is how's everyone doing at home? Like, what can we do? And those questions encourage a level of trust within the community. And so they come to you with more, like, they come to you with questions and suggestions. Like, the anthology wasn't even my idea. It was the idea of someone in my group because they felt empowered to come to me and say, like, can we do this? And I said, absolutely, we can do
Of
this.
course, I always say yes, and then I think, what if I just said yes to?
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Like, we'll
Yeah,
find more people to
exactly.
help.
Figure it out later, you know. Virgin Man. Oh, why does this name always escape my Virgin? Who's the head of Virgin? No, Virgin Atlantic. Virgin. What's his name?
The CEO?
Yeah. How could I forget that? Oh,
Shy
I can see him.
Weiss?
No. And with the head of Virgin, he's got a saying that it says, when you're asked something, say yes and figure it out later how you're going to achieve it, you know. Oh, his name's annoying me, it'll come back to it, I won't think about it. And yeah, and for me, and I think when you step into leadership, you know, you can be tentative at first, and then eventually you just keep saying yes. You rarely say no. If it's taking you towards your goal, it's always a yes.
Yeah.
If it's something that's going to drive you back from the goal, then it's a no. Yeah, and sometimes yeses are scary, you know, but if you come with other people and like that, who's it doesn't matter, people will support you. You know, it's just been amazing. A lot of the conversations I've had with many of the women in Voice of Women, and Watch Out America 2025. So we'll be having a meeting about that soon. There's going to be a lot happening in the States 2025 around Voices of Women. So yeah, so the traits, yeah, authenticity, service, and did you give me a third one?
Listening.
Oh, listening. Yes, you did. You said listening. Yes, yes, exactly. Listening. Well, great. So in terms of Voice of Women, why are you a Voice of Women?
Oh, why am I a voice of women? Because you asked me to be, Brenda. No. My real answer is that, you know, sometimes no one else is talking and you just have to start. And then other people will want to talk too. And that is why I'm a voice for bi plus women right now. And I hope to encourage more bi plus women to raise their voices.
Absolutely. You know, and you know me, we're all about diversity and inclusion. And I've been like that since I've been a 5-year-old. And, you know, we win awards for diversity and inclusion. And we don't do it, we don't sit here and go, right, we need to do diversity and inclusion. It just naturally happens, you know, whether it's cultural, race, religion, or whatever. We seem to attract the melting pot of the world, which makes us colourful, which makes us, you talked about flavours, you know, and for me, that makes my heart sing, you know, and for me, I see people as people first, not the labels that are attached to them. Some people don't like me saying that, by the way. I'm putting that out there. Some people find that contentious because they want the label. And I learned that labels, there's a time and a place for a label, but not just to have a big label stamped on your head. You know what I mean? Because I worked in neurodiversity, and the only time a label was helpful was when the people tried to get into establishments, you know, education settings that were for particularly children with autism, ADHD and things like that, or they needed to use the label to get support and money. But other than that, they didn't want the label. They didn't want people to see them as Asperger or ADHD. They just wanted to be seen as Joe, Robin, Anthony, you know, Maria, Barbara, Brenda. People just want to be seen for themselves, that I am me. And I'm sure there's a whole myriad of poetry out there called I Am Me or I Am Human. And for me, that's what drives me, and having everybody just being kind, being loving and understanding, and like you said, being heard. So we have to listen, you know. So for me, that's important. So yeah, so there seems to be a bright future for you, and I know there's going to be so much more, because I do have to say you are a fantastic writer. Anytime we say your name in the team, Olivia just waxes lyrical. Oh, Bailey, oh, we need to get more Bailey. I thought, brilliant, you know. So yeah, so please keep writing, Bailey. I know you do a lot of like articles as well, whether it's blogging, articles, books, whatever. Keep writing, keep speaking, keep expressing your authentic self. because that's what will attract people to you. So last word from you, Bailey. What would you like to say to all the listeners about expression, voice, writing, speaking, whatever? The last word's with you.
It doesn't have to be perfect to start. All starting has to be messy, and you'll figure it out as you go along.
I love that. And there's a book by Marie Folio, and she says everything is figurable out, or something like that it's called. And yeah, we can figure it out as we go along, and it is messy. Life's messy. Everything's messy. So there you've heard it from the beautiful, the gorgeous, the scintillating Bailey Merlin, and I've loved having a chat with you again, as I always do. We need to have more of these chats. So everybody, there you are. Until the next time, this is Brenda saying, be brilliant. Much love. To the pit.
That's it for this episode of Brilliance Today. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. For more information or to contact Book Brilliance Publishing, visit bookbrilliancepublishing.com. And remember, do different. Be brilliant.